Oh, welcome back to the 10-minute Slice of Life podcast with Risha. Again, I'm probably uploading in batch like later on. Like this is probably like 3 months out of date at this point. If you're listening, there's so much stuff to cover. Anyways, the previous episode we covered like scalp health. I went on some side tangents, I know. And it's just like I don't know what else to tell you. It was really frustrating recently. But anyways, like it's important. Scalp health. There was like an episode before that on like how to do it side bun, and there was like a review site. There's this website here, mindbodygreen.com, and this company or whatever covers stuff on beauty and health. But of course, the most important part that I think they do is that they do a good job of pulling from primary research and getting certified professional, like these are trained MDs, they're actual doctors, so they know what they're talking about when it comes to not just it's just not talking about the superficial stuff. It's not like they're encouraging or endorsing products that have lots of chemicals that may damage your skin. In fact, they're teaching you how to have healthy skin and have healthy hair and just be healthy. Therefore, fashion and beauty comes as a side effect of that. So if you are healthy, then you will naturally, as a bonus, just look better. And that has been my approach all my life. That's pretty much it, and then I would never at any point in my life like I don't know, like kick or harass or laugh at or ridicule a homeless guy because like they don't have their shit together. Of course they're not gonna take care of themselves, like their appearance. They gotta take care of, like, they gotta get a job and a roof over their head first, right? I've never done that. And this is just like appalling for me. But that's what this site focuses on, right? It focuses, on health for the skin, on the integumentary organ, among other things. And so I think I like this site so much that I'm gonna keep this open because it's going to remind me, among other things, how to, it's gonna be another regimen that I usually incorporate into my morning routine, which I've stopped doing. So here we have some articles here from Integrative Health, 6 ways to strategically stress your body out for longevity and immunity. We have here how to spot hidden trauma responses. This one here covers on recovery. Can mouth taping help you sleep? And so we can tell that the main focus of this particular episode is going to be on the other domains that are covered under mindbodygreen.com outside of skin health. So the first one here is going to be covering a bit on aging. So this is integrative health, everything you need to know about the they make a joke here, the motherfucker gene. It's wild because as someone who has a degree in like biomedicine, I remember one of my greatest professors, and I believe she's Russian. I think she's Russian. She had a great voice, and she made this great, because at the time, it was embryology. It's like a 3rd year university course, and we were learning about how embryology is like embryology, histology, immunology. These are just like the core, pre-medicine undergraduate program. You will have these things, and during one of those courses, they covered certain genes like sonic, and some of the laboratory scientists and researchers back in the day named their genes that they found in the genome over games like Sonic the Hedgehog. So it's funny here that one of these genes here is capital MTHFR, which it's like, you bitch ass motherfucker. So but actually it stands for something legitimate. And I thought it was like a hilarious joke because honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be surprised if the scientists actually did, or the researchers at the time, the protein researchers at the time did decide to name after that. But it's actually methionine, like reductase or something like that. And what it covers, this particular article, is if you've delved, let's just read a little bit here. If you've delved into the realms of personalized medicine or precision nutrition, or you've used a home DNA test to discover your ancestry or genetic health risks, you've likely come across the MTHFR, or motherfucker gene, variants. And no, it's not an abbreviation of your favorite swear word. So these genetic variants, more scientifically known as single nucleotide polymorphisms, or SNPs, have gained attention for the way they affect your ability to process and use the essential B vitamin folate, and thereby affect a globally important and whole body health biochemical process called methylation. Now, I'm going to, maybe we'll go further down here. So the MTHFR gene, so I'll read another paragraph here. This is a little bit more scientific than maybe is appropriate, but I'm pretty sure everyone's pretty well educated nowadays. But so for methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase, so MTHFR, see, it's a legitimate name, methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase. It's an enzyme that converts dietary folate, or foods like leafy greens, and folic acid from fortified foods and certain supplements into a bioactive methylated form called 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate, 5-MTHF. Okay, so if you want to go further on this, basically it covers how this affects and impacts all your organ systems, from digestion to respiration to endocrine system. And I thought this was really important because back in 2014, that was when I was still about to graduate. There was a renowned, I believe, Stanford. So this is in the States, in the U.S. A Stanford scientist, biologist, Dr. David Sinclair, covering at the time, which was kind of groundbreaking research for him, and it was very controversial on anti-aging senescence. Now it's kind of really mainstream popularized, but before it wasn't. We're talking about 10 years ago, I realize. And he made certain podcasts later on with Dr. Andrew Huberman. I believe he's from, either one of them is from MIT or Stanford. I can't remember anymore. And he's a neuroscientist as well. And so DNA methylation, when accelerated, or not accelerated, but it has to be very specific and targeted and well regulated, because methylation of certain genes and of others, and the lack of methylation of other genes as well, will lead to basically you developing things like mutations and result in the aging process, as certain cells. The way he described it, Dr. Sinclair described it, basically eventually you'll have, say, skin cells that are demonstrating properties or phenotypes of a lung cell or of a blood vessel cell, right? So long story short, there's more and more mutagenic errors happening across your entire body. So it's very important to have basically a lifestyle that promotes healthy methylation. And in this case, this article is talking about certain alleles or genotypes. Basically, it's kind of like whether you're born with blue eyes or green eyes or black eyes or whatever, brown eyes. Having certain genes for the MTHFR genetic expression will result in you having a lower or a dysfunctional amount of activity that is detrimental comparatively to other people. So it's not something to be alarmed about, but it does mean that you might have to take care of your body and your health better if you go take a genetic test and you find in your blood samples or your whatever test. They go through the whole process here. Let's say you see your family doctor and they bring you to a specialist because you're curious, and then you find out that you do have the alleles for this gene. About roughly, apparently like 60% of the population does. I might have it, who knows. It will impact your ability to cope with stress, to your dietary changes, to your metabolism, to ability to get by in daily activities. For some people more so than others. So I thought that was very interesting, and this is something that I didn't expect to find on this website. So again, on this company. Another one here that I found really interesting. So this is Traditional Chinese Medicine, TCM, History and Current Applications, from an acupuncturist. Okay. And this is new for me also. I don't know anything. I'm very, very little about TCM. I have nothing against Eastern medicine, particularly. I know that there's a little bit of like superstitious stuff that does happen, but there was superstition in Western medicine way back. We learned this very early on, and if you take any basic like college or university first year course, you'll know that back in the 1700s, people used to think that people got sick. Like in the 1700s, people thought it was like this evil religious spirit called miasma that would make people sick. Uh, it took like centuries literally before people start to realize, oh, scientific developments, oh, these are germs, these are microbes, that's what's causing it. But before they thought it was like a evil spirit, that that was transmitted through drinking water or some shit like that. And doctors like played this like pseudo religious role back then. So, again, it's pretty much universal, right? There's superstitions everywhere. Everywhere, and the same thing goes with Eastern medicine. So I've never really been heavily against Eastern medicine. They will have their superstitious moments, but there's a lot of good theory behind it too. That is very useful. So just very briefly, I'll cover the contents here. It says, breaking down this article at the very top, the table of contents: TCM history, TCM philosophy, modern TCM practice, acupuncture, herbal medicine, food therapy, movement and rest, and manual therapy. So I read through it. I thought it was really, really interesting. And again, if I see here, it says TCM dates back to like 2,500 to 5,000 years. I'm not going to go in detail. If you're interested, you can read up on it. I did my reading, and then I moved on. But again, this is something that I find really, really intriguing, and I want to explore a little bit more about when I find the time to. Okay. Actually, well, we already did. That's why this podcast episode is here. So if you have any, comments or any particular opinions about TCM or about the motherfucker gene, or gene expression, maybe you have a background in biology, maybe you work in healthcare. I know I used to volunteer in a hospital, and I used to also work for companies that are related to allied health services like paramedics. So if you want to comment about that kind of stuff in your studies or your work or career or stuff like that a little bit, and what this has any relationship to that, to what you do, feel free to go ahead. I'm going to close this tab. See you guys in the next one. And yeah, this is Richard signing on. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.